Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for coming this evening to this Krishna Katha festival, this Hari Katha. We originally came here to this temple site in 1974. There was a Krishnastami festival, and we participated in that. We're invited by I think it was the Reservoir Hills Hindu Seva Samaj. And I remember that time it was very windy, and the tent blew down. It blew down. So then we went to the hotel on the top. What hotel is it? Ashoka Hotel. That's right. And we did the other half of the program in the Ashoka Hotel. So this is a very auspicious place, since our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, we have a picture of his deity actually on the altar there. He came here in person 1 year later in 1975. So this is like a tirtha. Tirtha means holy place. Wherever there is pure discussion of Hari Katha, it becomes a holy place. And of course in India, it's Punya Tirtha. Tirtha, again, holy place. Very pious places in India, such as Ayodhya, Hardwar, Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Navadvip, and of course in South India, many holy places, many holy rivers, which we don't find outside of India. So we'll speak a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, but first we'll say a few prayers to our teachers. In spiritual life, one needs a teacher, just like for any material subject, physics, computers, music, cricket. You want to learn cricket or swimming, you go to a good teacher, and he can teach you the techniques. So in spiritual life, one also has to approach Guru, Guru in disciple succession. So we're very fortunate. We are repeating what we have heard from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who I mentioned came here in 1975. And he is the inspiration behind this mission, which can be traced back 500 years ago to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there's a line of gurus and disciples going back to Lord Krishna when he appeared some 5,000 years ago. So we first offer some prayers to these previous teachers and gurus, etc. Om Agena Tamarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshmatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadhamayam Didanti Sambadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitantam Shrijivam Sarvaitam Sarvutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Karam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishavitanscha Namaram Vishnu Vedaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Prastachayate Satarine He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancha Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Suddevi Pranamani Harihi Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasani Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. This is chapter 16. Chapter 16. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters and 700 verses. It was spoken in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a very complicated language. Just a person with average intelligence, it will take you approximately 12 years to have some knowledge. There are many, it's very complicated. Very few people speak Sanskrit on this earth planet now. But it's interesting to note, 5,000 years ago, everyone spoke Sanskrit. Mm-hmm. So this idea that previously we were primitive or not so advanced is not substantiated. Previously people were not so materially advanced with their Mercedes cars and plasma TV and satellite dishes and whatnots. But previously people were actually more intelligent. But we're defining intelligence as being able to discriminate between matter and spirit and who is the controller of both. That of course is God. So in other words, intelligence was defined by knowing the difference between matter and spirit. Having some vichara. Vichara means discrimination, understanding. So this was how knowledge, intelligence was measured. So this verse, chapter 16, text, just see. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So chapter 16, text 23. Chapter 16 is called Divine and Demoniac. In society, whether we like it or not, there are the divine type people, the godly type, and you get the demoniac type people. In this age, Kali Yuga, there's going to be a lot more demoniac type people. Divine and demoniac. And their characteristics are described. Divine type people, they would be like peaceful, clean, respectful to all living beings, have some transcendental knowledge, some self-control. They would have a higher regard for other human beings, in other words, morality, human morality, decency. And demoniac people, very self-centered, excessively lusty, very quick to become angry, proud, conceited, arrogant, and violent. So we're saying that in this age, These types of demoniac people are increasing. So this is being predicted in the scriptures. In the Kali Yuga, which started 5,000 years ago, when Lord Krishna left this earth planet, things will deteriorate. Things will go down. Kali dosa nijarajan astyaka mahanguna shimabhavatam. This Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. But there is one good thing, and that is simply by chanting the names of God, one can make very quick, tangible, real spiritual advancement. So although this age is inauspicious, it's also auspicious. And that is because simply by chanting the names of God, we can spiritually advance. And it's so easy to do. So, this text 63, let's say it together. So this is the Sanskrit, Lord Krishna spoke it. So he spoke it, we will repeat. And each one of these slokas in Bhagavad Gita is like a mantra. You know what is a mantra? Tra means to deliver. We have the word putra, putri, putra, son. The son is supposed to deliver the father, mother, grandparents, the dynasty from sinful activity. Therefore the putra, the son, he does various, and daughter, does various ceremonies. So we have in the Vedic culture various ceremonies, Pita Pak and different ceremonies. And these are meant to deliver the forefathers from accidental, sinful reactions. Putra. Tra means to release, and man, in this context, means the mind. So the mantra releases the mind from thinking of mundane things. So what do I mean when I say mundane things? What it means is what we're thinking about all day long. Politics, it's mundane. Completely. Sport, it's mundane. There was so much excitement. Remember 3 weeks ago, a month ago, about the World Football Cup, and how people were jumping up and down when their team won and causing earthquakes in Mexico or wherever it was, you know. And everyone's talking about it, everyone's watching it, and then the team wins. I think it was France, wasn't it? And then the next day, we've forgotten about it. Right? Are we talking about it now? FIFA World Cup? Everyone's forgotten about it. It's mundane. Politics. This person comes in. Now it's this person. Now that person. Now this person. And they're all being trumped by each other. That's a joke. Our health. It's also mundane. The health, the family, we worry about the children at school or their careers or university or the grandchildren. These are all mundane things. The car in the garage, mundane. So we want to, the mind is absorbed in thinking of all these things. Naturally, the mind, you know, whatever its environment is in, it thinks about. Just like if you take a diamond and you put it, you see these lights. So if I put the diamond in the green light, then what color does it become? Green. It takes on the association of its environment. If I put the diamond near the blue light is there, it becomes like a sapphire, blue. If I put it near the red light, all of a sudden it's a ruby. So the mind takes on, it's influenced wherever it is by its environment of the mind. So how do we break out of this mantra? Mantra delivers the mind from a lower level of existence to something higher. And there are many mantras. Om Namo Shivaya Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. These are mantras. Om Bhurva Sat Savitavaranyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhina Prachodayate. But the Maha, or the king of all mantras, is very simply Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. And this is not just my opinion, but the Kalasantana Upanishad also says Sava Vedeshu Dristate. You read all the Vedas, Sava, all Vedeshu Visha, you'll not find one more powerful mantra than the Hare Krishna mantra. It is said 1,000 names of Vishnu is equivalent in spiritual potency to one name of Ram, and 3 names of Ram is equivalent in spiritual potency to one name of Krishna. Of course, Vishnu has many names: Narayan, Trivikram, Janardana, so many. Unlimited. God is unlimited. Therefore, you must accept He has unlimited needs. We can't be so narrow-minded. Even a human being has many names, isn't it? Like the President of South Africa, then he has other names, nicknames, and he has one secret name, his wife only calls him, like Sweetie Pie or something. Some secret name, no one else knows about. So ordinary human being has many names. So God also has many names. He actually has unlimited names. Allah is a bona fide name of God, referring to the greatness of God. God is great. Jehovah, Govinda, Ram, Krishna. So there are secondary names of God and primary. A secondary name of God is a name of God where that name is in relation to this material world, like Paramatma. He's within everyone's heart, Paramatma. Or Jagannath. Nath means Lord, Jaga means this universe. And the primary names are those names that are in relation to the Lord in the spiritual world, like Narayana, Krishna, Govinda, Mukunda, Giridhari. And of all primary names, the name Krishna is considered to be the highest. So we'll read this verse. Getting back to this verse. So remember chapter 16, text 23. Please repeat. Yasastra Vedhim Utsaja Vatate Karma Karata Nacha Siddhim Avatnoti Nasukam Parangatim Yasashtam Vidhim Utsaja Vatata Kamakarata Nacha Siddhim Avatnoti Nasukam Parangatim. Now the English of that Sanskrit is, he who disregards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. Please repeat. He who disregards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So Srila Prabhupada has given an explanation. I'll read. As described before, the Sastra Vidhi, Sastra means scripture, Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, the Vedas. Sastra Vidhi means rules. So the rules of the scripture, or the direction of the scriptures, is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to lust, anger, and greed, then he never will be perfect in this life. So in other words, one cannot act whimsically in the name of religion. One has to act according to Sastra. And Sastra means scripture. You can't make up. This is the fashion nowadays. People making up. I think God has made me this. And then someone else, well, I disagree. I think God could be like that. But scripture, Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, we have the Tata Veda, Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajna Veda, the Puranas, the Upanishads. They describe very clearly the different conceptions of God and the hierarchy, as I mentioned, Narayan, Ramchandra, Krishna being the original personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ete kamsa karo pumsam, Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Godhead, Swayam, original. He expands himself, and those expansions expand themselves, called Kala. And he remains the original personality of Godhead. So this is scripture speaking. It's not my opinion. I'm giving you what is in the scripture, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, received through disciple succession. Now you may argue, but written by some human being. Bhagavad Gita, written by some person. So the Vedas were actually given by Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva is a literary incarnation of God. In other words, the Vedas are given by God. And various human beings, like Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, may comment, but they're self-realized souls. They're not ordinary people like you or me, living here in Reservoir Hills or Durban. They're very spiritually elevated. And they're in the disciple succession. So their comments are authorized. But the tendency in the Kali Yuga is that anyone can stand on a soapbox and say, I'm God. Anyone, they do some magic, and then claim to be God. Create some ashes, I am God. And people follow them. So people are very gullible in this age. We see this within the Hindu religion, but also in Christianity, and also in Islam, and the Buddhist doctrine. People are very gullible, and they're almost willing to accept anything. But one has to act according to Sastra. Dhammantu Sakshat Bhagavatam Pranina. One has to act according to Scripture. The way you can check something is by these three things. Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. So when there's some statement, you can check it. Whether the Guru and the previous Gurus have said the same thing. Guru Sastra, whether it is in Scripture or not. Guru Sadhu, Sastra Sadhu, and whether other saintly people also confirm this. Otherwise you can be in big trouble and end up being cheated. And this is the tendency in this age of Kali. People are being cheated. It's very rampant. We see it everywhere. In financial dealings, people are being cheated. Isn't it? We're all being cheated, getting taken advantage of. There are so many sharks, as it were. People really willing to plunder and take our money. So in spiritual life also one should be cautious. One should be careful. One should follow Scripture. So those who disregard Scripture, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and act whimsically will never attain happiness, will never attain the supreme destination. What is the word here now? Nasidam apapnoti, na sukham na parangatam. Na, never, not, sukham, happiness. they'll never attain happiness. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the path of spiritual life in this age is very simple. All we have to do is develop bhakti or devotion to the Lord. Bhakti means devotion. And this is what attracts the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Having a lot of money really does not attract God. Being a big politician, that usually brings about pride. And humility will attract Krishna or God, not pride. Being a world-class football player or athlete, or being a member of Mensa, where you have an IQ of 145 to 160, that won't attract Krishna or God. But what does attract the Lord, bhakti mama vijayanti, bhakti, devotion. And a man can have devotion, and a woman can have devotion. It's got nothing to do with male or female. A so-called caste system Brahmin may have devotion or may not. And a lower class, in India we have this caste system. So it doesn't matter what caste your parents may be in or what you're born in. That doesn't make any difference. Your caste is not dependent on your birth. This is what is being practiced in India. If my father is a neurosurgeon and I'm the son, does that mean I'm automatically also a neurosurgeon? I'm born and immediately I'm a neurosurgeon. My father is a high court judge. He sits on the Supreme Court in Bloemfontein or South Africa, wherever. Does that mean I'm also a Supreme Court judge? No, I had to go to school. I had to study. I had to do the matric and then become a lawyer and then do my internship and then join the bar or whatever it is. So just because my parents are whatever it is, doctors or lawyers, doesn't mean I will automatically become. But the caste system, which we understand is somewhat demoniac, which is being practiced to one degree or another in India, they state if you're born in this particular type of family, that's what you are. And you're stuck there. You can never transcend it. You can never get out of it. So we say one is Brahmin or Vaishnava by activity, not by birth, by activity. So the scriptures also describe this as well. So bhakti attracts Krishna. And a lady can have bhakti, a man can have bhakti. An Indian-bodied person can have devotion or bhakti to the Lord, but African-bodied or white-bodied, like I was born in England, I come from a place called Oxford in England, they can also have devotion. South Americans, Russians, anyone can have devotion. It doesn't have to be designated. You have to be an Indian family. You have to be born in Bharat or India. There are some temples in India, they only will allow Hindus. They don't allow Westerners. And you've got to be not just a Hindu, like here in so many in South Africa, what we call Hindus, but you've got to be an Indian Hindu. You can't be a South African Hindu. You got to be an Indian Hindu. And some of these temples, not many, but some of them I know, there are gatekeepers, and they stand at the doors with sticks. And then you come in, you're pilgrim, and you come in to take darshan like Jagannath Puri temple, and if they're suspicious, if they look at your shoes, they think, these are not Indian shoes. I can see these were made in China. These shoes are South African. I can see he's wearing a watch. They can just look at you and they can figure it out. They're very expert. So then the next step is they speak to you. Now, a fool can remain undetected as long as he doesn't open his mouth. You can all be fools. But if you don't open your mouth, you'll never know. So they get you to speak. And then immediately they know your accent. They say, this is not Indian. You're not Delhiwala. You're not Bengali. This is a funny accent. And then with their sticks, they hit your feet. Push you away. You can't go in. And then sometimes they say, Janma, Janma, Janma. What's Janma mean? Take birth. In other words, take birth again. And this time get it right. Be born in India. That happened to me many times. I went to one temple, the Gudicha temple, and they said the same thing. They wouldn't let me in. But I've been trying to practice devotional service for almost 50 years, but they wouldn't let me in. So bhakti has nothing to do with the color of your body or your intelligence. Of course, I'm talking about material intelligence. You may not even be able to read and write. One of our gurus couldn't read or write. Gokishoda Babaji Maharaj. Or you may have PhDs. So many PhDs. This is material intelligence. Spiritual intelligence means you understand the goal of life, Krishna. You chant the name of God. You're devotionally inclined. So bhakti has nothing to do with material intelligence. This is what I'm saying. Nothing to do with your sex, man or woman. Nothing to do with your age. We think, oh, you have to be older. Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old. Actually, bhakti has nothing, it doesn't even if you're in the animal species of life, you can also be the devotee. But it's very rare. But we do have an example of the great Hanuman. Hanuman, in the monkey species, and he's a great devotee. Garuda was a bird. Pakshi. Bird. Eagle. And there are other examples also. But generally it's limited to the human form of life. The ability to practice devotional service. In exceptional cases, there are certain great devotees who may have appeared in what we think is maybe an animal species, So, Bhakti Mahavijanati, only by devotional service can I be understood. Thus, I can be understood directly standing in front of you. Krishna said this to Arjuna. So we want to cultivate this devotional bhakti. And the best way to do this is by chanting the holy names of God. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama Eva Kevalam. Chant the name, chant the name, chant the name. The name of God, Nama Chintamani Krishnas, is full of unlimited happiness. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It is the source of all spiritual rasa. Purna. It is complete. It's not lacking anything. Shuddha. It is pure. Vinapinami. The name of God is no different from God Himself. So by chanting His holy name, we can associate with Him. And we want to associate with the Supreme Lord. And we can do it through this chanting. So we humbly request that you try to take seriously this chanting of Krishna's name. This is the goal of life. And our beloved spiritual master came here 43 years ago and said the same thing. At that time, I was a young boy. How old was I? 22 or something. And many important dignitaries in this area came to that program. It was very, very well received. And then Prabhupada also went to Durban City Hall and gave a very powerful talk. And this was, of course, during apartheid time. And Prabhupada preached strongly, we're not this body. Of course, apartheid philosophy is all based on the body, right? White and non-white. But Prabhupada cut through this and in a very dignified and sastric way presented the idea that we are the soul beyond this body, higher than this body, more subtle than this body. This body, what actually is it made up of? According to Bhagavad Gita, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. chapter 7, text 4. Burmia pona lavaya kamanubari vicha. So what does this mean? It's made up of skin. It is made up of fluids like blood. There's some muscle. There is bone. It's like the foundation, the bone, the skeleton. There is stool within the body. There is urine, bile, secretions. There are small little worms, amoebas. Within the stomach there are so many amoebas. We can't see them with our naked eye, but they're like small little worms. They live within our stomach and they help us digest food. But we're beyond this body. We are the life force of the body. It's called consciousness of the soul. And this is called knowledge. So this we can obtain from Bhagavad Gita, from the Upanishad. By reading these books, you understand the theoretical knowledge. And by engaging in devotional service, this theoretical knowledge becomes realized. So we humbly request you to become more serious. Just being born on this earth planet, one has to be very blessed. And then to come from Indian background, even more blessed. Because in the Indian community, in India and also outside India, wherever it is, South Africa, Mauritius, there is some knowledge of Ramayana. Like you've all heard of Ramayana. When you were young children, maybe your grandparents told you different stories. The Mahabharata. You all know the cow is sacred. Many members of our Indian community may be going to, McDonald's or whatever, Kentucky Fried Chicken. But we still know the cow is sacred. So this knowledge is only there from because you're born in this type of community. So immediately it's an advantage. You've been blessed. So we humbly request you to take great pride and assurance in your own culture, going back. Your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, all from India, they were more religious. People were more religious previously. So we encourage you to practice this culture, this Vedic culture, Varnashrama Dharma. Become more serious. Chant the holy names of the Lord on a daily basis. Not just, once a year on Krishnastami or Ram Navami, but every day. And if you can, you offer your food to Krishna. And we have this weekly service here every Tuesday in this Sabha, very wonderful hall, and we thank the officials for allowing us to use this facility. And we have the temples, Phoenix Big Temple, Chatsworth Big Temple, and we put on the festivals all the time, like Rath Yatra. 100, 200,000 people come, etc. We're building in Sridham Mayapur. It'll be the biggest temple, one of the biggest in the world, the biggest dome in the southern hemisphere. It's massive. And this is to attract people in spiritual life. So thank you very much for coming and sharing these with us. And we encourage you to chant the names of God and become perfect, become more serious. Yes. A human being can, to be perfect, that is the characteristic of God, but we can go in that direction, but only if we become God conscious. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. There's a few questions I can try to answer. Question 1. What happens to the soul at the time of death? So death will come to all of us, all of you and me. Time and tide wait for no man and no woman. We're all going to kick the bucket. Hopefully it'll be later, later. But it could be tonight. It could be any time at all. 3,500 people die every day on the roads. And a big chunk is South Africa. South African roads are very, very dangerous. 40 people die every day on the roads in South Africa. One may die car accident, unintentional death, drowning. You know how many people drown in India every day? We're reading about the monsoon. You read about the monsoon? And people drowning in Kerala? But 80 people drown every day in India, even when there's no monsoon. So death can come at any time at all. We would hope it will come a little later in life, but it can come at any time at all, like road accidents. Road accidents is not confined to older people. Actually, usually older people aren't driving cars. They get their children to drive them if they're smart. But still the accident comes. So when the body becomes damaged, so that's an accident, or part of the body breaks down, that would be a heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, liver failure, organ failure, something in your body fails. Then when the body becomes uninhabitable, the soul leaves the body. Just like this hall, very beautiful hall. If it starts to collapse, let's say, we read about earthquakes, not in South Africa, but Japan, that one in Indonesia just 2 weeks ago. 500 people died, mostly from falling debris. So there's an earthquake and the hall is collapsing. What do you do? Are you going to sit peacefully and go, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti? We would hope you would chant Hare Krishna, but your immediate reaction is to run out, isn't it? You run out of the hall. When this building is uninhabitable, you leave. When the house is uninhabitable, you leave. When the car is all rusted up and finished, you dump it. You get a new one. So when the body becomes old, the soul leaves the body and takes birth again. And this is called reincarnation. You incarnate again. You take birth again. Now, where do you take birth? South Africa, perhaps, or America, or maybe Russia. And what species of life do you take birth? A man, a woman, a monkey, a mosquito, a sardine, a blue lagoon. I mean, what do you choose? You don't actually choose. Your next birth is due to your activities. And this is the law of karma. And you cannot escape it. The law of karma. Infallible justice. We have a system of law in South Africa. But it's fallible. In other words, you murder someone, but you get a good lawyer, and you bribe, you can get away with it. And you may be innocent, and you may get caught up in prison, and end up being put in prison, etc. So human law is fallible. Mistakes, many mistakes. In America, persons were executed, and now some 20, 30 years later, the DNA forensic expertise has increased. So they've gone back to some of those previous convictions and proven through forensic examination that the people that were executed were actually not guilty. They made a mistake. And they've apologized to the families. Of course, the person's dead. They've apologized to the families and they paid them out money. So this is due to forensics. So in other words, fallible mistakes. But the law of karma is infallible, never makes a mistake. Because Krishna is within your heart as the super soul. And he sees everything that's happened. Everything you do, everything you think. So you engage in sinful activity, you get a sinful reaction. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And you can't bribe. Here you can bribe and probably get away with it. the material world. You can bribe. It goes on all the time, bribery. Either we know about it or we don't know about it. But you can't bribe Yamaraj, the superintendent, demigod in charge of death. You cannot bribe Paramatma, Super Soul, an expansion of Krishna, who's in your heart. So one should be careful how you live your life. Otherwise, the law of karma will bite you on the back of the neck. It will get you back, as it were, the law of karma. So when we engage in devotional service and chant Hare Krishna, all our previous karma is excused. And this is a very famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, perhaps the most important. Chapter 18, text 65. Sava dhamam parityajya, everyone. Mam ekam sharanam praja. Aham tam sava papebhi mokshishma. Krishna says at the very end of Bhagavad Gita, give up ritualistic worship, give up worship of demigods, Indra, Shiva, Ganesh, Ganapati. Just Mam ekam, surrender unto me alone. I will protect you apart from all sinful reaction. Masuchaha, do not fear, do not hesitate. So we accept this, we believe this. So you become the devotee of Krishna, then you're excused from all sinful reactions. Not only sin that we have done in this lifetime, but previous lifetimes also. And then another question, is the Tirupati temple in India associated with Lord Krishna? The Tirupati temple in India, the main deity is one of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna. So it is associated with Krishna. It's the worship of Vishnu. In South India, the worship of Lakshmi Narayan is very popular. Narayan is the same as Vishnu. Both Narayan and Vishnu are expansions of Krishna. Lord Narayan has 94% of Krishna's qualities. Krishna, according to Rupa Goswami, has 64 qualities, and Narayan has 60 of those. So the Lord Narayan is God, according to Tattva. But according to Ras, there's a difference. Krishna plays the flute and dances with the gopis and the cowherd boys and has pastimes. Lord Narayan does not play a flute, and he definitely doesn't dance with Lakshmi. It's a different type of worship, but according to Tattva, it's the same. So if you're more attracted towards Lakshmi Narayan, that's all right. Or Sita Ram, that's also acceptable. Or Radha and Krishna. So thank you very much for being patient and listening, and I pray that Lord Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Lakshmana, Hanuman can bestow their mercy upon all of you. You can become more serious and practice spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
Do you want to do the book so we can move straight on to cake cutting?
Yeah.
Cake cutting.
Yeah, cake cutting.
Thank you, Maharaj, for that very inspiring discourse. We would like to now kindly request Maharaj to cut Lord Krishna's pathetic